very diversified panelists from a very diversified field. Mr. Pawanjit Grewal, who's the founder and the managing director of the REEUDO, and then we have Mr. Sanjay Chaudhary, who's the vice president and the strategic and corporate affairs Indo-Gulf group, and then we have a very famous film producer, Rahul Mitra, who is the actor and the founder of Rahul Mitra Films and Brand Smith Motion Picture. So I'll start with Pawanjit, sir. Sir, you have built a company that helps students with cross-border payments. I would like to understand the budget introduced 2% of TCS on overseas education remittances that got decreased from the 5% earlier that was, which I would want to understand now that the upfront cost has decreased. Can the fintech platforms make the entire payment compliance and the loan process that the student has to face? Will the process be more seamless for the student?
I think it's not about bringing seamless, but there are friction points that exist. For us, we look at education, cross-border education with students studying abroad. With India now leading across the globe, right? Close to 1.5 million students from India travel abroad at any given point of time. And that 1.5 million students contribute nearly 45 billion annually in terms of remittances or annual spend, whether it's tuition payments, monthly expenses, or other induced costs. And then there are very, very corridor-specific plays that happen. For us, we look at both an origin side and a destination side friction points that exist. There are challenges on the origin side in terms of access to funds, in terms of cross-border payments that need to happen. The way the payments have to happen, the way a fintech platform can touch or not touch the payments. What are the compliances required before the transactions are done? Who can send the payments within the family? So all of these compliances have to be inbuilt within the platform, right? So that has been done. So some of those challenges can be removed by technology. Some of those transactions or friction points can be removed by regulatory nuances that exist. So getting the TCS is just one part of it, because from 5% it has come down to 2%. What that means for a student or a parent is that there is there is a reduced upfront capital that is getting locked for the financial year, because it's a TCS, it's not a TDS, right? So you can claim it back at the end of the year if you're paying taxes. But the challenge was that 5% was getting locked, and most of the time the limit was 10 lakhs, while the average cost of education is around 50 to 60 lakhs. So the parents and students were paying that extra money, while they were sending the kids abroad. So that definitely helps in reduction of the gap for the middle class people who are studying abroad. But the other factor also that has helped us or the industry is the trade agreements that India has been doing with the various governments and within the EU as well. So there is a framework which now allows within EU to have very higher mobility of Indian students going to Europe, right? So that has opened up doors. There are nuances or regulatory challenges happening in markets like US, Australia, UK, where they are bringing more stringent guidelines. But Europe, on the other hand, is opening up more corridors for students to get in. So that's been a very, very positive change.
So we are also seeing the families move towards the hybrid models, and like I've seen like some of the families do what they do is 40% they take it from loan, and then 30% they do self-funding, then 10% might be coming from the scholarship and everything. So in that context, with this tax treatment now more neutral, do you see Indian families becoming more strategic in how they fund education? Like how we see in the market, how we diversify the market. Sometimes we do SIP, sometimes we look for the different asset classes. Like, can we see the same kind of thing in terms of how the funding will go for the students when they go abroad?
Sure, yeah, we already see that. And there are different segments within the country when it comes to tier cities. tier 1 cities, the customers are more educated. Also, the customers who are going, or students who are going for postgrad studies are more educated. So they know they've been planning to go abroad to study for the past 2 or 3 years. So they've laid out each and every aspect of study abroad, right? So they know the cost of education, they know the cost for a particular university, for a particular course, for a particular country and city. So they have very, very detailed breakdowns done up, and then they look at, okay, whether getting a loan makes more sense or self-funding would make more sense. So most of the students do look at those aspects. They also look at what are the policies around working in those respective countries. So how many hours they can work, so that the second year onwards they start to earn their own funds over there. So we see those trends happening, and then we also built technology which, at a single 2 or 3 clicks, it allows students to anticipate their cost of education for the next 3 years, right? So for example, if last 3 years we are looking at, last 1 year we are looking at, the dollar has, kind of gone up by 4%. Similarly, euro and GBP has gone up by 12-15% as well. So those predictions are very difficult to make, right, for a student perspective. But what we are doing is helping them. Okay, this could be your potential cost of education if you look at, breakdown of your tuition payments, your monthly expenses, and other aspects. And this is a potential, increase that you can look at if the FX changes, if the rupee depreciates, if there is a cost of loan that has to be built in, the cost of FX transactions when you transfer money. A lot of those combinations are not built up by the students or parents, and that is where we kind of enable them.
Thank you so much, sir. Also, the budget strategy actually strongly backs the Yuva Shakti thing, and the bridging the gap between the classroom and the careers to the high-powered standing committees. And the budget has also talked about the PM Vidya Lakshmi scheme updates. Do you think the education financing is finally aligning with the global demand, especially the AI and the STEM, rather than just funding the degrees?
Yeah, I think there's still a significant gap that we see in terms of education and training and employability. If you speak to the industry folks, we see a gap of 50, 60%, 70% in terms of employability to be done. But I think there are a lot of changes which have already happened and which are happening now, is getting a lot of international universities into the country. So I think that is just a matter of time, it will start to change. We've seen that in China happening, where they've built world-class institutes within the country as well. And that's where we see the government also putting a lot of efforts to build or scale up the current education institutes, or invite other universities across the globe. 3 years back, nobody was talking about the top 100 universities setting up a campus in India. That has already changed now, right? So it's I think, going slow, but it's just a matter of time that we should be able to see these changes now.
Thank you so much, sir.